Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ron Levari, and in this video I'd like to share with you a very simple solution to help make mesh heads more playable and better suited for electronic drum triggers. Now, for me, mesh heads are definitely the best solution when it comes to quiet practicing or quiet triggering of electronic sounds. If you live in an apartment, you have neighbors, you have family members, you don't want to drive them crazy, mesh heads are the quietest and best solution for practicing. But for me at least, I'm not too crazy about how they feel. They don't feel very nice to hit, and I find myself abandoning my practice when I practice on a mesh head quite quickly. Whereas on a nice drum pad, I can go on for hours. So something about this material, for me, it's not a lot of fun to hit, and when I'm playing fast, it's sometimes difficult to notice the articulation of the stick and figure out, am I playing well? Is this accurate? Is this what I intended? It's a bit blurry to me. So that's problem number one. Also, when it comes to triggering, Midi triggers that you mount on your drum, there's a very basic problem with mesh heads, is that they vibrate very similarly to a regular drum head. And this happens with regular drum heads as well. Here, I have a sample ready. I chose a bongo sample because it's very short, it's very precise, and you can hear when it's working well and when it's not working well. So, all good so far. But here, I play some fast stuff and the trigger doesn't really pick it up. So, with my Midi converter, I can raise the sensitivity of the trigger and also lower the threshold, which means that it will work better in low volumes. Here you see it's not even responding. So I'll lower the threshold. Very nice. I'm barely touching. And then when I play louder, we get false triggering. The trigger feels continuing vibrations and figures that I must have played another note. So it sends another message and we get an extra sound. This can drive you crazy, especially in a live performance. So, what is the solution? I hope you're not waiting for something spectacular, because the basic thing is that we're going to take a pillow and we're going to stick it in the drum. So, let's go. Cool, so we have our pillow inside our drum. Now try to choose a pillow that's a bit larger than the drum itself. We want something to stick out, and then we sort of force it down gently with the hoop and the head, and then we can start tightening things up. Now the cool thing is that by raising or lowering the tuning of the drum, you can decide what kind of feel you want from this drum. You can crank it up and have a very responsive, tight feel to the head, or you can tune it down and quite literally practice on a pillow. This is very cool because you can take a smaller drum and make it feel like a larger drum. You can get a nice workout for your hands. If you have a full kit of these drums, you can have very small drums and tune each one to a different response. So you can have like a snare cranked up, a small tom, a medium tom, and a floor tom. They can all be the same size. You can get potentially 8-inch toms and tune each one to a different feel, and you get a wonderful practice kit. Already it feels much better. It's much more fun to play. I can hear each stroke articulated much better. Let's put the Midi trigger back on and see if there's any improvement with false triggering and the response it gives us. Sensitivity is cranked up all the way up. Threshold is non-existent. No false triggering. I do agree that you get a bit less of a response from the trigger. It's not very noticeable, but if you just let your stick go, it's not exactly like before. But for me, the cancellation of the false triggering is more than worth it, and I do get a very nice response. Can play buzz rolls. Now, definitely when I get closer to the sensor, it works better, which is why I would recommend getting a smaller drum. This is a 14-inch snare drum. I would go with probably a 10 or a 12 for my dedicated acoustic Midi trigger. One more quick thing before we finish. On the bottom head of this drum, I mounted an old snare drum head. And that's perfect because you can just flip the drum and you have yourself a very nice practice pad for brushes. So this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below, and consider liking and subscribing to my channel, and I will see you next time.